I was watching Shopify Rebellion versus Dendi's team B8, and I saw a few cool plays Crit did, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you've been living under a rock, Shopify Rebellion was the old EG, and Crit is a POS 4 player. So with that out of the way, let's go to starting items. So notice how there's 3 mangoes. First of all, that jumps his HP to 4.6, and something I don't see enough of, but there's a salve in his backpack. So if you're going to buy a salve in the early game, your game plan better be to make use of it. You don't want to be someone who buys a salve, never use it, and then just have to sell it at 20 minutes. For pregame, since his team is smoked, it allows Crit to get this aggressive ward on the high ground, and as soon as Crit notices the dire team, instead of using cogs on the spot, he instead runs closer towards Roche Pit than cogs. By doing this, he actually increases his chance of surviving, because he cuts off the whole choke point between Roche and the trees on his right, which forces B8 to walk around and eventually into his cogs, giving Crit the safest path to walk away compared to just running away or pressing cogs on the spot. Before we get into the lane, I'll start by saying Shopify Rebellion last picked Darkseer, and I think this is a disgustingly overpowered combo. With Clock in the top lane, you'll see why in a bit. So, since his lane is double melee, the block is extremely important, and just as important is the first range creep deny. Unfortunately, he misses deny, but he realizes Skywrath is out of position. So without hesitation, he goes to harass the Skywrath. And this was the OP combo I was talking about at the start. Saberlight on Darkseer puts Iron Shell on Crit, he cogs Skywrath, and with just auto attacks and the Iron Shell damage, it drops the Sky from 450 HP to 89. Now, the interesting play here is to watch how Crit actually follows Skywrath when they're sitting in the cogs together. If Sky walks down, so does Crit, and when he moves up, Crit follows. He's constantly hitting and mirroring the Skywrath, so when cogs do expire, he's still going to be on top of the Skywrath with that Iron Shell. He tries to go onto the troll here, but realizes he should probably tango before re-engaging. Then he uses cogs. This cogs was more to damage the Sky than to trap the troll. Also, this gives him the chance to drop low enough to use his salve that we mentioned earlier. Just quickly, as a melee support, you need all the small advantages you can get. So in a time like this, when you're running away, do what Crit does. Always try to run between the trees and cut vision, like walk into the fog instead of walking in a straight line. And you gotta remember, fog is your friend. So back to the gameplay. Crit walks to the left and tries to lay low so he can use his salve that he brought from the start of the game. And because Crit is healthy now, he can re-engage half a minute later and eventually get a nice, easy first blood on the Skywrath. Once Sky comes back to lane, he tanks the Sky harass so Darkseer doesn't have to, and as we can see he's all out of regen, so he tries to waste a bit of Skywrath's time, and here most players would just walk back to base or at least TP home, but Crit instead denies himself to the tower. This allows him to respawn with full health and full mana and gain an additional TP scroll. Once Crit returns to the lane, they decide to go for a kill top, and notice again, Crit doesn't stand still inside the cogs but follows Sky out of it. Realizing he wants to dive, he quickly de-aggroes from the tower and closes the gap with Iron Shell. Notice he's only following the troll, not attacking, so just right click moving himself next to the troll with Iron Shell is enough. Glyphs the creep wave and gets a kill with no tower hits, and with his melee friend Darkseer, they walk down the Sky. So here Crit gets low, and what do you think he's gonna do? Wow, you're right, he's gonna deny himself to the tower again. But this time, while deceased, notice how he watches mid. And after Abed harasses Dendi, he'll help Abed refill his bottle by TPing mid before returning top. And while this is happening, Darkseer is also getting solo XP at top because the creep wave is at the top tower, so he's not scared of Darkseer dying anytime soon. So this play technically helped 2 lanes at the same time. So this tip is actually where the thumbnail is from. For some reason, I never considered cogs giving vision, but cogs actually can give vision onto the high ground, so if you stand like this, you can actually gain vision on obscure high ground locations, which means you can place sentries on sunspots and get the D ward there, because sentries stop giving vision after 12 seconds. When Clockwerk hits 6, the full combo does at least 900 damage, so be confident in getting a kill, but in saying that, also be smart on who you hookshot, because Clock can actually isolate an important hero away from the fight. So here when Abed gets jumped by Dendi, notice he doesn't aim Dendi's Pango because he knows the roll's about to run out. And Pango has 2 skills that help him escape Cog. So the best target here is a hero that can do the most damage after the Pango roll is used, and that's Nature's Prophet. So without any hesitation, he goes for the Natures and gets a nice solo kill. So in your games, think about who the most important hero to jump is before the fight, as there's no point trading your life for a pos 4 or a pos 5 if you could have isolated and killed their mid, carry, or offlane. So in this example, the moment Nature shows bottom, Crit wants to stop him from farming. So he swaps his smoke from his backpack and walks over to the Darkseer for an Iron Shell, and he TPs down for a kill. So here, Crit sees Jakiro, but remember, he's here for Nature's Prophet, and Jakiro is what we call a low value kill. Most players would jump on the Jakiro and trade 1 for 1, but Crit's main focus is on the Natures, so he walks around and still doesn't engage on Jakiro, but instead scouts behind him by sending in a Rocket Flare, and the moment he sees Natures, jumps him, and that's the pos 3 offlaner dead. Where if he jumped Jakiro, Natures might be able to escape the gank altogether. So in the next clip, I wanted to show it because 1, the pros are human too, and they can make mistakes, and 2, it brings back my point of juking in the trees as a melee support. So here Crit misses the hookshot on Jakiro, but he keeps going. I will note this kill was helped because of their draft with Iron Shell plus Battery Assault, but notice right after the kill, Crit never runs in a straight line, but instead tries to juke in the trees, always cutting vision. He actually jukes long enough to have Tumbler's Toy off cooldown and uses it to jump over the cliff, and just for good measure hides behind one last tree before Cog's TPing out. And remember, against enemy melee heroes, the most broken thing you can do is just Cog's TP, because they kinda have to just stand and look at you while you escape, and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm just gonna show you another team fight with Crit, and go through with commentary some nice decision making from his side. So first he noticed Dendi hasn't rolled yet, meaning if he stops Dendi from rolling, they should win this fight as that's their mid game / mid hero gone. And after hookshotting in, he doesn't trap Dendi in his cogs, instead walks in front and uses cogs to push Dendi back, giving him a 0.5 second stun and enough time for Abed to get the final hit to get the kill. And without Pango, the fight should just fall apart. Another teamfight example. Here, Crit waits for Dendi to use both his escapes before jumping in. He doesn't use cogs because that would grief his team, and well, Dendi's already dead. Notice he aims Dendi in these fights instead of Nature's because he believes this would win them the fight, stopping their mid-game hero, well, in the mid-game. And that would be the highest value kill for his team. Finally, this tip isn't a Clockwerk tip, it's just a general tip for all strength heroes, or well, most heroes, but mainly strength heroes. Due to the low mana pool they have, remember to always drop your items before you wand. So here Crit went from 127 mana to 64 mana, and that's a lot of value for just doing a simple task like dropping an item. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please like the video and subscribe if you want more content. Also, write who you'd want to see or what heroes you want to see in the future. Alright, bye.